Martin, what are the core aspects care providers and the medtech companies should be focusing on?
I think the key focus, Michael, has to be continually asking why rather than what and how we're doing. You know, we live in a world with so many healthcare challenges that is so volatile, uncertain, chaotic and ambiguous. That kind of due north, that one thing that keeps you going, has to be why are we doing this?
So what about innovations? Can they at all play a role in all this?
I think without the innovations, we don't get to where we're going. And I think I love to quote Pareto, you know, how do we use, we have a world of very limited time and limited resource. So how do we use that 20% for 80% of benefit? So that innovation has to focus on those 20% so that we can impact 80% of the population 80% faster.
If we need to focus on the basics, if there is no public money available, not for all for innovations, what would be the approach to make headway for innovations?
I think history tells us that progress tends to be evolutionary rather than revolutionary. But I take the view that if you look at antibiotics, for example, we have no antibiotic development. Your grandchildren stand a greater chance of dying from an antibiotic an infection rather than cancer in 5 to 10 years' time. So to revolutionize development and speed up what patients need, I think it's really going to take some big disruption. It's going to take the tech companies, whether it be Google or Amazon, saying we have fixed type 2 diabetes. There's the data.
So if these big 5 or big 10 cannot make headway in this market because they have MDR challenges, for example, they have reimbursement challenges, what could be their potential path to still penetrate the market?
I think their potential path is to start off with saying we have the solution or we have the potential for the solution, and then to turn to government and say, what are you going to do to help us? Whether it be in modernizing regulation to speed it up with new science and technology for which it was never designed for, or whether it be through radical reimbursement and repayment systems to actually incentivize the work that they're doing. You know, an example mentioned earlier is antibiotics. Nobody's investing in antibiotics because there's no money in it. So let's come up with a radical reimbursement plan that incentivizes companies, whether it be tech companies or pharmaceutical companies, to speed up development in such a crucial area.
Do you see a role for patients with regard to acting as a driver?
I think without involvement and engagement very early on of patients and payers, and that's the other important dynamic, we will hit barriers further down. So that early engagement of the end user and those that are paying for that provision, I think, is going to be fundamental.